Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us. At USA Global TV and Radio, we gladly provide world-class education, entertainment, news, hope, and inspiration. Our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture, episode 136. Dr. Jacalyn is producing the show today, so I will be hosting you, DIANN FLOYD. Again, so happy you're here. Our incredibly talented team member, HELENA CHARD, is out today, but she'll be with us next week. But never fear, our Scottish team member, the fabulous chef, author, speaker, and sailor, and so much more, who will be sharing with us the royal news, the UK updates, and the Scottish history. Welcome, please, Simon Macdonald.
Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday. Nice to be back again. And the sun is shining here in the west of Scotland. Cold wind, but it's dry. And that's the main thing as well. I believe down in the very bottom end of Englandshire, they have got rain and winds and gales and so on. And they got the tail end of your last hurricane too.
Oh, my goodness.
Always get your cast-offs, you know. But I think Southern Europe's actually getting the worst of it. So that makes a change for us getting it instead. So it's nice to be back. It's lovely to be back. Yes.
It's lovely to see you. You bring us so much fabulous news and history. I'm just amazed by you. And for those who are listening for the first time, Simon Macdonald has been doing these incredible, interesting history about Scotland, and he just makes history come alive. So if you haven't seen him, check it out on YouTube. And Simon, it has to turn into a book. And I think your other section that you have for us about strange things, say the title again.
Yes, strange but true factoids. Yes.
Yeah, that's a book in itself as well.
Absolutely, yes. Oh, I mean, I think, you know, the number of pieces I've done now, I mean, we're on show 136. Yes. Goodness. You know, if I strung all these pieces together, it'd be several volumes of books now, I think, as well, covering all sorts of topics from inventions to wartime experiences. And today we're on about tea, following on from last week's show, where I did a piece about the founding of the tea industry in India, which of course was founded by a Scotsman using fair means and foul. But this week another Scotsman comes in. In fact, there's two Scotsmen come into play in this one, and they set up the tea industry in Ceylon, which is known as Sri Lanka today.
Yeah. So I look forward to that. And for everyone listening, I bet you're going to be wishing by the time you listen to Simon that you're going to go look at your ancestry and go, do I have some of that good Scottish blood?
It's amazing. I get everybody seems to, you know, contact me. Oh, we've got Scots blood in us, and I think half of the United States and half 3/4 of Canada are all Scots descendants.
In some way or the other, yes, that's absolutely.
Well, that's it. It all goes back to the days of the clearances when the landowners in Scotland were clearing the people off to have sheep instead. They reckoned sheep would make them more money than people. Strange kind of idea that. So they shipped all the all the crofters and smallholders off to, well, the colonies, be it
The
America,
colonies,
Canada,
right.
and Australia. If you're a bad boy, you went to Australia.
People were so crazy. We're so crazy today. But anyway, moving on. How are the royals doing today?
Well, it's quite a mixed bag that I've got today. I mean, I hope Helena forgives me for some of the things I'm going to come out with today. But we'll start off with Harry and Meghan. Why not? Everybody else does. So Harry and Meghan are actually at war with themselves. They're competing, it would seem, quite strongly for the limelight by doing a series of solo engagements. Harry's been in the UK, he's been in South Africa, he's been all over the place, and Meghan's been doing her own thing as well. So they haven't actually seen each other for 3 weeks now. So read that into what you may. But so that's it. So yes, their rivalry seems to be boiling. There's always something interesting and controversial, I think, comes out of Harry and Meghan and so on. It's quite interesting to keep tabs on them. I think everybody else has to keep tabs on them as well. Anyway, King Charles, he's going to be missing this month's COP29 climate conference, which is being held in Azerbaijan this year. And he's doing this really under the instructions of his doctors and, of course, his wife, Queen Camilla, as well. So so he's got to do what he's told there. So I mean, they're doing it on health grounds and for the schedules he's got as well, because this month he's off to Australia and Samoa for 10 days as well, on a highly publicized tour. And while he's over there, he's stopped doing his cancer treatment. So he'll start that again once he gets back. So people are a bit anxious about, is it wise to actually stop that while you're away? Should you not be carrying that on? But anyway, he's a strong man, and and he knows his own mind. So anyway, the other thing with King Charles, he doesn't normally eat lunch. He's not an aficionado for the midday meal. But however, once again, the doctors and Queen Camilla have been on him and insisted, for health reasons, you really should be having something in the midday, even if it's just a snack. So he has gone all out. He's having half an avocado for lunch every day just now. The health benefits of avocado, of course, are absolutely fantastic. And I think it's the best thing he could possibly have, that or a jar of honey. But he likes the avocados, so there we go. So that's King Charles. On that, what else we've got now? The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, currently in Malta. It's the 60th anniversary of independence on the island of Malta, and they've been meeting a group of youngsters involved in the Duke of Edinburgh's international award scheme. Now, the Duke of Edinburgh Award was set up by the Duke of Edinburgh's father, the Duke of Edinburgh, or Prince Philip, the late Queen's late husband, and it's an amazing thing. It's really there's so many people and youngsters have benefited out of it. I went through it myself as well, and it maketh the man or maketh the woman, whichever. And so it's a tremendous thing. So today they're going to, or probably at this time now, looking at the time, yes, they must be visiting the villa where the late Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, were stationed when Prince Philip was with the Royal Navy, and it was just after they'd been married. So they've gone out to see the other house where Mum and Dad lived, basically. It is called, the pronunciation of it, Villa Gardamangia. Villa Gardamangia. That's it. That's as near as damn it. Anyway, back on. Melanie Trump has let loose a little piece of information here that she and King Charles are pen pals. Now, they first met, I think, in 2005, and then they met again in 2019. and they both formed a very strong bond about the climate change and general environmental issues. And so they've been very strong pen pals ever since then. So that's, I remember I used to have a pen pal years and years and years ago. But of course, now everything's computerized and emails and so on. It's not the same as putting pen to paper. But a lot of the youth today wouldn't know about that. But us old folks, yeah, we know about putting pen to paper. Princess of Wales, yes, the beloved Kate. She's just an extraordinary person, the lovely Catherine. And so she's been congratulating the British sailing team. I'm passionate about sailing. And the British sailing team, they've just qualified now to take part in the America's Cup for the first time in 60 years. You'd think that this being an island nation, and we have some absolutely superb sailors, we might have done this one just a bit before. Look at our record in the Olympic Games. I mean, we've got gold and silver and bronze all the way through. But anyway, there we go. So we've qualified now for the America's Cup, and the British team taking on New Zealand this Saturday, the 12th. So I shall be, avidly listening in for that one. And that's it. So this is the first time since 1964. So just finish up on one little snippet which I got today, which did make me chuckle a bit. King Charles, he went into the dining room and let out a shriek. Now, royals don't scream, they shriek. So he let out this shriek, and Queen Camilla came running through, sort of fearing the worst. And King Charles was pointing at a table with food. And she says, "What's that?" And she says, "It's cling film, darling." Well, our dear old king didn't know what cling film was. Apparently, he'd never been introduced to it. So there we go. Maybe he needs to get out a bit more. There we have the royal news for today.
Fabulous job. So interesting, especially about a lot of it, but the whole being approved to be in the American Cup, that's huge, right? I would think it would have been like from the beginning.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, we've had some fantastic people involved in the America's Cup over the years. Sir Thomas Lipton being one of them, with his, billionaire back in his day, and he had a series of yachts called Shamrock. Shamrock 1 right through to Shamrock 5 and so on. An extraordinary gentleman. I'll be telling you a little bit more about him today later on. So I'll just zip it for now.
Oh, that's exciting. And Melania Trump is pen pals with the king. Man.
Yes. Does
I know
Donald
a lot of girls in the 60s that would have loved to have been his pen pal.
Absolutely.
Before he was married.
Right, sure. Yes. I just asked myself, does Donald know about this?
But, when you find someone who kind of thinks like you and something that you're passionate about, it's nice that you can trust them that information and your thoughts aren't going to go anywhere else. So it's really great they have someone they can trust and share thoughts about, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, they both share this common passion on environmental issues. So, it's good common ground, and they have lengthy conversations, via the pen about this. So, yes, good. Prince Charles, King Charles has done so much towards environmental issues, and he's followed the COP climate issues right through, and he's been at every one. But however, this time, actually, he didn't even get the invite this time as well. I think the doctors and Queen Camilla had got to the organisers and Azerbaijan and said, "Don't send him an invite. He ain't going." So,
yeah. And we do wish him all the best. I think it's kind of scary that you stop treatment. I don't know how that works, but I hope it all goes well and he doesn't get too sick when he starts back up.
Yes. I mean, these royal tours, they are really quite a marathon, even for somebody in tip-top health. But, if you're not in tip-top health, go through the endurance of that. I mean, how many thousand hands do you shake, and how many, speeches do you have to make, and, and remembering, what the next function is and what you've got to do. It's a huge task. Plus, he's got the royal box with all, his daily box of documents, which he's got to go through as well. His workload is unbelievable, and the late Queen as well. She never missed a beat on that. She the royal box came through. That took precedence over everything else and had to be done. And the energy that they have is just incredible. I mean, I really admire them for the work they do. It is colossal, and most of it is behind the scenes. And I think it's a shame because they have so many critics thinking, oh, all they have to do is sort of swan about and shake a few hands and and have a nice dinner and so on. It's not like that at all, is it?
Exactly. So glad you brought that up. But I must say, I would be gaining weight because half an avocado is not enough for me. I want food. I want that table to be filled. And if you were going to ask me to take a royal tour, if I was one of those incredible royals, I need tons of energy.
Yes. Oh, I mean, I like my food as well. Oh, it shows. But I love avocados, and they are. I mean, avocados are a real wonder food, and a great benefit for health as well. So he's eating the right stuff there. And the other thing as well, good to eat is bananas, not on a yacht. Don't carry bananas on a yacht. It is the unluckiest thing you could ever do. But
did they turn brown real quick or something?
No, well, you just don't have bananas in the boat, And
I
actually enjoyed having them. They didn't do me any harm. And when I went racing, I would have them because you get a slow release of energy coming to you from eating banana. So there's great benefits in that aspect. But
there's nothing like a banana smoothie for sure. Actually, bananas and strawberries. But moving on.
Yes.
How about we get to our lovely, gorgeous Scotland?
Yeah, Scotland today. Well, yes, it's sunny out there. Well, sort of. Yes, it is. It's not bad, and the weather has been very kind to us. I really am quite pleased the way it's going. But what's happening in Scotland? Just all the usual infighting in Parliament just now. There's one of the committees that are involved with was looking at various different aspects in the fishing industry as well, and looking at new management plans and ideas to improve the fisheries and so on. I mean, my advice to to everybody I speak to in the government, which is on a regular basis, is listen to the fishermen, because these guys are sitting in the wheelhouse of their boat or standing in the wheelhouse of their boats, being tossed about in a pretty violent sea a lot of the time. And they know exactly what's going on down there on the seabed. And they've got all the screens in front of them. It gives them all the information they need, plus their own individual knowledge and historical knowledge of the area. So they know what's going on the seabed. Whereas somebody sitting in an office in the middle of Edinburgh, looking at their screen, all they're getting is a record of the daily landings, and that's about it. They don't know what's going on in the seabed. So you've got to listen to the fishermen. These are the guys that matter. It's their industry, and so that's my message. And I know there's one or two people in Holyrood just now watching this. So just remember, listen to these guys. They'll put you right. So. Anyway, what else is happening today? I don't know. Let's move on to let's do a few of the what do you call it, factoids and strange but true, because I've been dying to do this. This is great fun. Just stumbled on it the other week, so started picking up one or two, and I thought, now I've got over 1,000 of these things written down. So the Elizabeth Tower, the clock tower in London that holds Big Ben, is leaning over so much now that it can actually be seen with the naked eye. In 4,000 years, well, that's a wee bit away, it will be at the same angle as the Tower of Pisa is in Italy now. Iguanas have 3 eyes, 2 normal eyes, and a third eye on top of their head that only perceives brightness. I think I know 1 or 2 people like that. February, it used to be the last month of the year, which is why it's got the shortest number of days. And then going back to what we were talking about fruit a wee while ago, strawberries can also be white or yellow, and some can even taste like pineapples. So, and on that note, in 2016, a student left a pineapple in an art museum in Scotland. And 2 days later, it had been placed in a glass case as part of an exhibition. So there we go. Anything, oh, it's lying around, it's art.
Oh my goodness. You always have such interesting things to share with us. I mean, I've seen iguanas. I've never noticed that they had 3 eyes. The third one must be teeny tiny.
I think the person to ask about that is our very own Dr. Jacalyn, who's had all the problems the iguanas have in
She's
her
our
roof.
iguana queen, right?
But then I suppose if she's looking up that way, then she's looking at the south side of them and not the top side of them. So she probably wouldn't see the third eye.
Good point. I tell you, those people in Florida do get iguanas. And they're huge. They're absolutely huge.
Could you imagine a poor iguana going to, there we are.
Oh, there's
the third eye. Yes, could you imagine an iguana going to an optician to see about their eyesight test? Oh yeah, don't forget the third one up there.
The third one. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. That's amazing. It looks like she captured a picture of the eyes.
Oh, she's quick off the mark there. So she's been climbing around on the roof there, I think, crawling around and saying, that one will do. Bonk. Click. Oh, dear.
So what else do you have for us?
Well, what do you want first? Will we want to talk about Salon? Or it's coming up towards Christmas time. You've got a new book coming out.
I do. Thank you so much. One book, I can't tell you the name yet, but I will soon.
I mean,
but you can pre-order now. Boomer Sees the Town, and I'm very excited about that. So you can pre-order it on Amazon. And it's actually basically the first story, but Boomer has a brand new look because it's a series, and the artist that we have now had time to do all 3 books. So how about that, Simon? There's going to be 3 Boomer books eventually.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The breeding like rabbits. Yes.
But
I mean, you are an amazing author or authoress, is it really? And you've picked up so many awards as well. I mean, you're just really quite incredible. So there we go. But I mean, I've got my book coming up to Christmas time. So just, yes, there we go. A rhyme in time. It's like modern day nursery rhymes, a little bit of a Scottish slant to it as well. And, I wrote it and illustrated it as well. So it's great Christmas present, great birthday present, great present any time of the year, really. But,
it absolutely is. And my grandson absolutely loves that book. I'll be seeing him soon. I'll be bringing it out.
Yeah, you're going to be testing him on it, are you?
But he loves the softness of the pictures. You must have done it in watercolor.
Yes, it was pen and ink and watercolor. I mean, that's that's on the cover there, the Prince and Princess and the chocolate castle in the background and lollipop trees towards the foreground. So there we go. But I mean, it's illustrated all the way through. Again, there's the Prince and Princess and their poem, and the letter, and you've got a little bear and a little penguin there as well, and entrance to the zoo. So, yeah, they're all good fun, and it's great escapism. Yeah, and it's amazing because there's as many adults like the book, and a lot of grandparents buying it for the grandchildren, but not letting the grandchildren take it away with them. So they're reading it themselves and enjoying it. So, and it's been the subject of dinner parties and goodness what. So, yeah, so it's going well. So again, on Amazon, and it's in paperback or hardback or even on Kindle as well. I feel something like that, a children's book should, rather than on Kindle, it should be a tangible copy, because this is part of reading books. It's being able to touch it as well. It's a tactile thing.
I agree with you. Yeah. It all has its places, but I must share with you, I've had to buy double of the same book so I could keep one at my home, because my grandson's like, no, I want to take it home. And so that surely does happen.
Yes, yes.
Thank you
Well,
so
that's
much
it.
for sharing it. And you have such a lovely way with words. I'm not good at poetry, so I'm glad you're picking up that end. And for other people who are listening, eventually we're going to have a historical book coming from Simon. And it takes a long time to write historical fiction, much less the real deal. But Simon, if you want to
Historical
give
fact
a
is,
tiny highlight of it, if you're allowed to, I don't know if the publishers will let you yet.
I don't know whether it will be historical or hysterical. I mean, we get a combination of the two going there. Oh dear. Right. Anyway, so I think, we're going to talk about Ceylon now.
Yes.
Have a cup of tea. I haven't got a cup of tea. I've got an empty cup there. Anyway, so today I'm talking about the tea industry in Ceylon. It's a real good lead on from last week talking about the tea industry in India. And Ceylon, of course, is now known as Sri Lanka. So there we go. But geographically and culturally, Scotland and Sri Lanka may seem far apart. But the two countries have a fascinating shared history, which can be traced back through time to the daring deeds of pioneering Scots. And the Scottish links to the tropical island of Sri Lanka actually go back to at least 200 years, when it was then, of course, known as Ceylon. Three European powers, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the British, dominated Sri Lankan political life from the 17th to the mid-20th centuries. But the most distinctive imprint in Ceylon society and economy came when the British replaced the Dutch in 1795 to 96. So some notable Scots played a prominent role in this takeover. Jacalyn Macquarie, who was born in the Isle of Mull, which is actually not that far from here, he went on to become the governor of New South Wales in Australia, and he led mainly Scottish 73rd Regiment to victory over the Dutch on Ceylon. So British came to control of the whole island in 1815 and changed the fate of Ceylon forever. So it was another pioneering Scotsman who emerged then to lead the way, James Taylor, who was only 16 when he left Scotland in 1852 to sign on for 3 years as an assistant supervisor on a coffee plantation on the island of Ceylon, which is otherwise known as the Pearl at the Foot of India. A lovely romantic name. So the son of a modest wheelwright from Kincardineshire would never see his native country again. Taylor's employers, Harrison and Leake, were so impressed by the quality of his work that they put the young Scot in charge of the Lulacondera estate near Kandy in the late 1850s and instructed him to experiment with sowing tea seeds on the 19 acres of land. A unique new variety of tea had been discovered in 1823 by the Scottish trader and explorer Robert Bruce in Upper Assam region of northeastern India through his dealings with an indigenous tribe which were called the Singpo. And this Assam tea plant seeds produced excellent results. However, tea cultivation remained a minor activity for over 20 years, but that would be changed irrevocably by the coffee bean blight of 1869 and, of course, the arrival of Mr. Taylor. So Taylor, he'd garnered some expertise in tea cultivation in North India by the time he took over at Lulacondera, and he made some initial experiments there processing the Assam leaves using his bungalow veranda as the factory and rolling the leaf by hand on tables. The oxidized leaf would then be placed in wire trays and fired on clay stoves and charcoal fires. And it was a long, laborious process that yielded very small amounts of tea. So when the blight devastated the coffee plantations, estate owners followed Taylor's lead and opted to grow tea. But the maverick Scot was already way ahead of the game, and in 1872, he set up the first tea factory on the island. The factory at Lulacondera estate consisted of a rudimentary shack, the walls of which were constructed from mud and wattle. Inside was a tea rolling machine that Taylor himself had actually invented. So from these humble beginnings, Taylor revolutionized the drinking habits of the world and put Ceylon well and truly on the map. and Ceylon tea began to arrive regularly in London and Melbourne, and the success of which led to the opening of an auction market in the capital, Colombo, in 1883, and to the founding of the Colombo Tea Dealers Association in 1894. Anyway, in 1893, an incredible 1 million packets of Ceylon tea were sold at the Chicago World's Fair, so it really had caught on. James Taylor's dedication and determination was largely responsible for the early success of the tea crop in Ceylon, and he became known as the father of Ceylon tea. When he died in 1892 at the age of 57, a small army of people carried his body to his final resting place at Kandy's Mayanyawa, I've got some difficult names to pronounce today, Mayanyawa Cemetery. So after Taylor, Ceylon tea was taken from infancy to maturity by another intrepid Scotsman, a Glasgow grocer called Tommy Lipton, who was born on the 10th of May in 1850 in the Gorbals of Glasgow. The Gorbals is a pretty rough area, and at that time it was very rough. It's fair to say a cat with a tail's a tourist. So Lipton started work in the family's grocery store when he was only 10 years old. After spending several years working in America, he opened his first grocery shop in Glasgow in 1871. His grocery empire grew rapidly, and by 1880, Lipton had 20 stores. And then by 1890, he had 300 stores and was a household name in Britain. His next move was to enter the tea business. In 1889, he celebrated the arrival of his first 20,000 tea chests in Glasgow with a brass band parade and bagpipers. Tea drinking had become a popular habit in Britain, but it was expensive. Well, Lipton wanted to make tea accessible to all at low prices with guaranteed quality. But his tea empire really began when he took his first holiday to Australia. He secretly stopped off in Ceylon. The timing of his stopover in Ceylon couldn't have been better, because plantations affected by the coffee blight were available very, very cheap. So he quickly snapped up 4 bankrupt estates on the high hills around Kandy and Haputeo, and eventually acquiring about a dozen others, including his own personal favourite, Dunbarton, the headquarters of Lipton, until fairly recently. It was the beginning of a highly successful business in tea planting and trading, and the public came to identify the Scotsman name with Ceylon tea. Always an innovator, Tommy Lipton pioneered the use of cable transport system, carrying bags of plucked tea between the steep hilly slopes and the valley factories below. And this increased efficiency and saved the tea pluckers the perilous journey down the mountainside on foot. And this system is actually still in use in Sri Lanka today. On his return to Glasgow, he was determined to make a splash in his hometown and spread the word of his new exotic activities in Ceylon. An early master of advertising, he organised a huge parade of 200 Scottish men done up to look like Ceylon natives and marched through the streets of Glasgow carrying sandwich boards bearing the snappy slogan, "Direct from the tea gardens to the teapot." Well, it took Glasgow by storm. Many citizens thought that the parading natives had been brought straight from Lipton's estates in Ceylon. And one yelled out, he said, "You should be ashamed of dead honest Scotsmen out of their jobs," yelled one woman. Well, later on that evening, she discovered that the man on horseback had been actually her own husband acting as the leader of the Sinhalese. Thanks to men like Taylor and Lipton, by the end of the 19th century, the word tea was no longer synonymous with China, but with Ceylon, and their legacy lingers. Modern day Sri Lanka is second only to India in the production of tea worldwide. However, Scotland's links with Sri Lanka don't begin and end with tea. One of the most unusual sporting events in the world took place in February 2007, near the magnificent 5th century ramparts of the World Heritage Fort of Galle. The venue, which was for the 6th annual International Elephant Polo Tournament. The game is highly unusual take on polo, with elephants taking the place of horses, or ponies in the case of polo. It was the brainchild of a Scottish adventurer and former British bobsleigh team member James Manclark. The Scots revived the game over 25 years ago over a few drinks at the St. Moritz Cresta Run. The sport, it was originally played by Indian princes and British colonials at the turn of the 20th century. Well, Sri Lankan hotelier Geoffrey Dobbs brought the event to Gali to help raise the profile of tourism in Sri Lanka and bring attention to the plight of the Asian elephant. Gali was one of the worst hit places in Sri Lanka by the tsunami on the 26th of December 2004. After Indonesia, Sri Lanka suffered more physical damage and human loss than anywhere else. Its southern and eastern coastlines were ravaged. More than 31,000 people died, with thousands more reported missing. More than 500,000 people were made homeless overnight, and more than 400,000 people lost their jobs, mostly in fishing, hotel, and tourism sectors. Nearly $3 billion was pledged by international donors to help recovery, and many Scottish charities were at the vanguard of this aid. Within days of the disaster, Scottish philanthropist Sir Tom Hunter had pledged £1 million to rebuild schools destroyed by the tsunami. Sir Tom came from humble background in Newcomer in Ayrshire and made much of his estimated £500 million fortune from a chain of sports shops, and is now one of Britain's biggest charity donators. Aid workers estimated that Mr. Hunter's donation would help build up to 800 village schools for children and orphans of the tsunami. And the £1 million also helped to fund a new tsunami early warning system in remote and vulnerable Indian Ocean islands, including Sri Lanka. Along with countless other Scottish charities, they've provided money for the fishing boats, funding of equipment and establishment of farms, subsidised farmers to enable them to plant rice, kick-started various small businesses, provided water pumps and general provisions for thousands of displaced families, and purchased medical equipment for the hospitals. It's incredible to imagine that all of this might never have happened without the cultivation of a popular drink by a Scotsman who travelled thousands of miles against the odds to find their fortunes in Ceylon. It's quite a story. The Scots are all around there.
For sure. Wow. And here in America, we love, oh, thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, the king of teas.
Yes, Tommy Lipton. Great yachtsman.
Yeah.
One of the greatest.
Mustache, too.
And a character.
Not many people can grow that kind of mustache. Amazing.
In fact, I think I might just do a piece on him next week.
Oh, good.
He's an extraordinary character.
That would be fun. I'll have to look up, because I haven't been to Sri Lanka in a long time, but I think I mentioned last week, visited, my husband and I, a plantation there. I'll have to see if it was his. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yes, indeed. Yes.
It's fascinating to see how tea is made and the quality levels. There were, like, at this particular plantation, 3 different levels of quality of tea. And I think we tasted about 22 different flavors. I'm like, how am I going to remember which flavor I tasted? Anyway, it is incredible. I wish, and you probably, I like to think that every once in a while, those in heaven can look through the veil and go, wow.
Yes.
Look what I did with tea through the world.
It is. I mean, it is. And the Scots have been behind it all the way through. And they brought it from China, established the industry in India, which, grew into an incredible size of an industry. And then same thing happened in Ceylon. And again, it was the Scots that went in there and established that. I mean, it's the most popular thing, or it's the second most drunk substance apart from water.
Isn't that amazing?
It's incredible.
And there's so many medical things that are so good for you about tea, like I keep some tea bags that are good for when your tummy's kind of bothering you, or if you have a cold or whatever. It has a lot of medical uses, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It does. Yes, it is. I mean, the history of tea in China, it was originally sold as a medicine rather than a recreational beverage. Is that the right word?
Really?
It is. Yeah,
I did not know that.
It was originally sold as a medicine.
Wow.
You live and learn.
You live and learn. Well, very quickly, it is time for...
on this day.
On this day.
Okay, here we go. In 1781, Americans under George Washington and French under Comte de Rochambeau begin the bombardment of Yorktown, the last battle of the American Revolutionary War. 1855, American inventor Isaac Singer patents the sewing machine motor. Then in 1986, stage musical Phantom of the Opera premieres in London, written by Andrew Lloyd Webber, of course, and starring Michael Crawford and Sarah Brightman. It ran for 13,629 performances. Wow. Birthdays today, 1201. Robert de Sorbonne, French theologian and founder of the Sorbonne University, was born in, surprise, surprise, Sorbonne in France. Died in 1274. 1935, Prince Edward, the Duke of Kent, the late Queen Elizabeth's favourite cousin, is 89 today. Happy birthday, Prince Edward, your Grace, Duke of Kent. 1940, John Lennon, the British singer-songwriter of the Beatles fame, with songs like Imagine and Help and many, many others, was born in Liverpool. And then 1966, David Cameron, former British Prime Minister of the Conservative Party, 2010 to 16, was born in London. He's 57 today. Happy birthday, David. There's room for you to come back. There's a Prime Minister here we'd like to be shoved aside, I think. Deaths today. 1974, Oskar Schindler, the Austrian businessman and subject of the novel of Schindler's Ark, and the movie, of course, which won many awards, Schindler's List, died at the age of 66. In 1995, Sir Alec Douglas Hume, British Prime Minister of the Conservative Party, 1963 to 64. He didn't last long. He died at the age of 92. And then in 2015, Geoffrey Howe, the British politician even, and former Chancellor and Foreign Secretary under Margaret Thatcher, died at the age of 88. He's a real gentleman. He was a gentleman in every sense of the word. Lovely, lovely man. So there we have on this day, very quickly.
Thank you so much. And two things. One, if wherever you are in the world, if you can see Phantom of the Opera, that is just incredible.
It is.
Simon had an opportunity to see it a long time ago in London. Phenomenal. And then again, I had to see it in New York on Broadway, which was incredible. And then my mom and I had to see it at the Kennedy Center. So
well, so you'll know it word for word.
No, but I do love the music.
The music in it is so powerful. It is just quite incredible.
So
it's a wonderful, wonderful. I think that of all Lloyd Webber's productions, that's the one. It really is. It's probably outsold all the others, 10 times older, 10 times over. It is a fantastic show.
It really is. It really is. And the other thing that I'm so glad you brought it to light was John Lennon. And Simon, wouldn't it be wonderful if you and I had a magic wand and could wave it over the earth, and then just for a day, everyone put their arms down and they sing "All We Need Is Love"
Yes.
John Lennon.
Yes, I think that there's a few people need that message right now.
Yeah.
The world is in a bit of a state, with turmoil and so on. It's it's very sad.
Yeah, such a
There we
great
go.
song. All we need is love, and it's so true. Well, Simon, I want to thank you for today. As always, you enrich the world. You enrich all our listeners. And to our listeners, I want to thank you for listening. And Helena, Simon, and I both look forward to having you back next week. And we hope all is well in everything that you are doing. Dr. Jacalyn, you're just did an incredible job producing this show, and we thank you very much. Please stay tuned for the Anne Scotland Show, the podcast Maestro. Launch it. Be sure to tune in for our other shows, The Next Level Coaching with Robert J. Moore, followed by the Intentional Productivity Tips with Megan Sandwick. Also, we have the Royal Breaking News, which will be on later today, and the Scottish Connection with our own Simon Macdonald. Wherever you are in the world, I hope your day is filled with peace and love. Bye for now.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
Dianne Floyd BOEHM's A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan, 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 kapayapaan.
You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at DIANNFloydBOEHM.com.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Dianne BOEHM. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Dianne Floyd BOEHM tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Dianne's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diane's little girl in the moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diane's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diane's delightful books and much more at DIANNFloydBOEHM.com. Visit DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.com. That's DIANNFloydBOEHM.com.